All right, this is our bonus session for children for our roadmap to emotional recovery. Go ahead, honey.
When we're dealing with children with such a massive loss, and children have no control, right? We didn't either. The adults didn't either. But for the child, they're on another level of no control. So what we want to do is we want to help them identify the different parts of themselves and how they see and feel about the loss. So what we do is we separate that for them. We give them, there's a part of you that you call your sad self. And they can even name it. My sad self is Sadie. And then they have their mad self. And my mad self is Superman, you know. And then there's their true self. So let's say their name is Moses. And Moses is 4 years old, okay? So what we want to do, that's Moses would be his happy self, okay, his real name. So in that, what we're starting to do is allow their sad self to talk about what they lost. And then their angry self can tell us how angry they are about what they lost. And then their happy self, their true self, gets to tell us what they're so happy about what they have left.
So what you learned in session 1, 2, and 3
Yes.
is that trauma occurs because things are internalized.
Right.
Healing occurs because it's externalized. So what we want you to have is just a simple way of helping your child externalize whatever's the emotional energy that's going on inside of them. And as HollyKem said, we just make it real simple.
Very.
We say you have a sad self, you have an angry self, you have a happy self.
Yes.
And we're going to give each one a voice.
Right.
So we do that by creating a space for them to do that through artwork.
Yes.
Like you talk about, okay, the fires took a lot of things from us and it was from our family. And I want you to draw what are the things that it took from you that you're sad about, right?
Exactly.
Or what are you angry about? What are some of the things you're angry about? All the changes that we've gone to, and we want you to draw about the things that you're angry about.
Right.
And they're externalizing that.
Right.
They can do that through words if they're older kids, right? Or they can do it through drawing.
Yes.
And as they do, they're doing basically session 1 and session 2. They're getting it out. Another tip for you is this, is that, you know, when you have to give consequences for them acting out, sometimes when you go through a traumatic event like this, kids will start acting it out. I remember I had a young boy whose parents were getting a divorce, and he was getting a behavior report every day at school.
Every day.
Every day. And he was at a school about to get kicked out, and his mom said, "Can you help Davey not get kicked out of school?" Well, we really like the school. I said, I'll see what we can do. And so he came in one day, and we started to develop a nice rapport. And his dad had a girlfriend, so I knew he couldn't really be upset with his mom because he needed it too much. He couldn't be upset with his dad, who was living out the house. So one day I said, how do you feel about your dad's girlfriend? He says, I hate her. I said, you hate her? I said, I want you to come draw on the board what you want to do to her. He says, okay. And he got up there and he was drawing his picture. He had blood flying and swords flying and heads. And I'm coaching him. I'm like, and what else do you want to do? What else? You know,
He's like writing a movie.
Yeah. And he's drawing it all out. And then he sat down on the sofa, and he was about 10 years old, 10 years old. And it's the only time he cried in session. He said, I just miss my dad. I miss my dad. And then 2 days later, his mom called me and said, can you call me right away? I need to talk to you. I'm like, oh my goodness, what did he do? You know, but I knew he wasn't going to do anything because he talked it out. And she said, listen, I know you're not going to talk about what you're doing in counseling, but whatever you're doing, keep on doing, because it's the first 2 days he's come home without a behavior report.
Right.
And so he talked it out, and he didn't need to what?
Act
it out.
That's right.
And where did he start? He externalized his anger.
Right.
And then we got past the anger, and it brought us to what? His sadness.
Right.
He externalized the sadness, and then he stopped acting it out at school.
Then he became his little happy self, his little true self. So in that, it's like allowing the child to have a voice about the things that were important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, with children, there's, sometimes they don't know how to spell or write, so they can draw. And then they can write if they're older. But it's the same thing. It's just allowing them to have a voice instead of keeping it swallowed in. Now, the issue is, as their parent, it's hard to watch them hurting, but they're already hurting, okay? They're already in pain. They're already angry. Is nothing you did wrong. This is the way, just like you are. This happened. This is a situation. Things were not done right, incompetent. It doesn't matter. It happened. This is it. And so for this child, they need to be able to get it out of them. So, we always say, use your words, don't hit, right, when they're little, when they're toddlers. Use your words. I'm mad, instead of hitting, right? So it's the same thing that we want them to put it out, so then they can get it out of them. So then they can not feel like they have all that energy in them and they do something that is unhealthy for themselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
the tip that I meant to get to, and I got carried away, is this. If you need to give your child a consequence for acting out, they're acting out, your life's been disrupted, their life's been disrupted, they're in another town, they don't have their friends, and they're acting out, what you can do to give them a consequence for the acting out is to have them draw a picture of their angry self and have them draw a picture of their sad self, whatever they're sad about. And once they finish the pictures and they show them to you, then their consequence is over.
Right.
And so you're facilitating a process of them externalizing it through a consequence, then the consequence is over. But that's going to be the way to help them from not acting out in the future.
Yes.
So those are some simple tips. The sad self, the angry self, and the happy self, getting that stuff externalized in whatever creative measure that you can use. And that's just a bonus tip for dealing with children. And I promise you, you're going to get good results if you follow through on that.
Yeah. I was going to say, too, is that I love to draw. I'm not a great word person. So you can also put a piece of paper out for yourself and draw your sad self, your happy self, and your mad self as they're doing theirs. And then they end up with an art journal. And it's a constant thing that they get to do, just like you're doing as you're writing your list work and sharing, that you can do once a week or every day. Like Dean says, if they do something, you get them to do this. And that's their consequence because they're constantly getting it out. But you can also, like I do, draw it too. You can draw your angry self, your sad self, and then your true self, your happy self.
All right, we're going to go right into our activation, which we've already talked some about, but we'll be more specific, and we'll see you in the next video.